Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Therapy on Comms with me, Joe, here again on the channel, bringing you another video regarding Maidstone United Football Club, the pinnacle of many of our depressions at the moment, really. A lot of people make light of that comment or think I'm making light of how football can affect one's mood, but it's very important to remember that football plays a very big part in a lot of people's lives, mine included. And when things aren't going well on the pitch and off the pitch, of course that does tend to reflect in many people's lives, mine included. And it's very sad to have two losses in a row now, coming at the death in the manner that they have, back at the Gallagher Stadium. This video is coming off the back of tonight's defeat, Tuesday the 28th, I do believe, 7:45 kickoff against Bromley. And again, of course, the weekend we did lose in a similar fashion. 90 plus minutes on the clock, or near enough. I think it was the weekend a little bit earlier, but yeah, 92nd minute, 91st minute, around that today. Conceded another late goal in a fashion which is really unacceptable. Something we've seen too many times this season, far too many times this season. Chesterfield, another game in which we've done that. Dorking, just many games. You fans who will have joined me in these troubling times, down at the Gallagher or on the road, following Maidstone this season, will of course know that. And for me, it's a question of mentality. In one of my latest videos, I mentioned that I believe that these points, these individual errors that it does come down to on more than one occasion, is due to a lack of experience. It's due to an ability to maintain composure, which we don't quite possess yet. I feel that the squad is too young for what we're trying to achieve at this point in the season, which I believe to be momentum going into next year in the south. I believe now we are one game or one result away from relegation mathematically, which of course is no good at all, although many of us of course would have conceded defeat on this subject a long time ago. But yeah, I mean, for me, the first question I would ask George Edekobi in the post-match interview tonight is, why is the mentality of this team not in a state in which it's able to defend for the entire length of the game? What is it in this team that he believes is the reason behind conceding these late goals? Because there is a trend now, there is a pattern. This is not just the odd occasion. 10 goals now this season conceded in injury time. That's 90 plus minutes. 10 goals in 90 plus. I mean, that's just not good enough at all. I know we've conceded, I think, how many did we concede today? 3 goals. So I think that makes us now 85 goals, something like that, for the season, which is nothing short of abysmal, really. This is quite a moody video, as you'll be able to tell. It was tough tonight. It really was tough. I thought at 1-0 up, we were absolutely excellent. I thought we were playing really well, good football. And then, of course, after about 25 minutes, half an hour in that first half, we just kind of fell off a slope. The momentum switched. And of course, in games, teams will always flip back and forth with who's got the momentum. And when Bromley had their momentum, they definitely took a hold of that, going in at the break 2-1 up, and came out second half doing the exact same thing, really. Went down to 10 men, I think, with 80 minutes on the clock. This was after we'd equalised, I do believe. So, the opportunity to get one back through Sam Bone came up, and, when they went down to 10 men, and rightly so, a red card, I thought, the opportunity's there. We can really pounce now, take advantage of the fact they're going to sit back, which is what they did end up doing, but we couldn't take advantage of that. Again, I think the substitutes weren't really good enough. Sol Wangel Smith coming off, Regan Booty coming off. I thought Regan had a pretty good game today. Passing was really good. Some of the touches and flicks and stuff that he did in midfield to open himself up and allow that passing space to open up for the team was absolutely fantastic, and not something we see too regularly from Regan Booty at times this season. It's been a bit of a struggle for him at times. Obviously, a much higher intensity in the league this year, not as much support as he had last season. But I thought he was really good today. And to bring him off when we're chasing a lead in favour of James Alabi, who, let's be honest, hasn't had the greatest of seasons, is not exactly the fans' choice for, the sort of player you want to be seeing coming off the bench to make an impact at times. And then, of course, Ryan Viggers on loan from Charlton. And, we're relying on very young players and players who have had barely any minutes to make differences in games for us, chase leads, anything like that. And, we can't be doing that. We've got experienced players at the club. We had Jerome Bidden-Williams on the bench. I don't know where Mark Marshall is. I don't know where Shamar Lawson is. I'm assuming injured. We need another injury report to come out as soon as possible, really, to just keep us in the know on these things. Reece Greenwich, of course, another player who has been back in training as far as we know for quite a while, but nothing heard on that front for a good spell of time now. I thought, unfortunately, despite being captain and probably my favourite player this season, George Fowler did not have a good game today. Did not have a good game at all, in my opinion. And I thought that a change might have been necessary, a swap to four at the back, maybe seeing Jerome coming on, and maybe Rafe going over to that right back position, seeing George come off, probably could have benefited us. But I thought, 90 plus minutes again. I go into every game thinking that that's going to be the scenario. I've got a group chat with the lads from the podcast and Connor as well, a little off-air chat that we've got on WhatsApp. And as soon as we went 1-0 up, I said, kind of hold your horses. We'll see what happens in 90 minutes, basically, or 90 plus, because I just got a feeling. it's going to happen again. I mean, where I stand in the Genco, I've got some good people around me, friends and family who, before every game, we do a score prediction, and everybody was kind of 3-1 Bromley, 3-1 Bromley, 3-2 Bromley. Someone got it right. 2-1 Maidstone, that sort of thing. And I said 2-1 Bromley, and I said we'll do exactly what we did last week. I feel we'll probably go 1-0 up, look pretty comfortable in a game, and then we'll just concede one more, be on the back foot, and we'll end up conceding again in the dire moments of the game, and it'll fall away from us and we won't have an opportunity to get back in it. And that's really what happened again. I know it wasn't 2-1, but similar scenario with the 3-2, of course, on how that one played out. But yeah, for me, my question to George Edekobe, I know that some people at the club do watch my videos. I don't know if I'm really supposed to say who, but for those that will be watching, I would like to see it addressed, the mentality of the squad, or what it is that the management team, as so-called, of course, do believe is the reason behind this trend that we're seeing with this Maidstone team at the moment. Is it a lack of experience? Is it the heads are gone for players? Is it they get into this 90th minute and thinking, well, we're down anyway, we might as well just pack it in, and giving up? Is it that sort of mentality? Is it a lack of confidence, a lack of belief that we are good enough to see out a result in games? 29 points dropped from winning positions this season. 29 points dropped from winning positions. And if we had an extra 29 points, we'd be flying. We'd be in mid-table. We'd be safe. We'd be looking forward to next season with plenty to look forward to. And, 10 goals conceded in additional time, that is not good enough. That is not good enough at all. And the manner in which we do it as well, I'm more than happy to lose a game to Bromley. I think we performed a lot better than what we did in the reverse fixture this season. I dubbed that game away as arguably the worst commentary I've ever had to do. We were played off the park for pretty much the full 90 minutes in the last game, and we did up our game this time around. So no one was expecting a win against Bromley, but something I've always said, which has received quite a lot of criticism in the past from people I know and people I've mentioned it to, is that, when you get yourself in a position where you're winning a game, you're looking comfortable in a game, it really is in your hands to lose that game, and you do lose that game, that's on you. You shouldn't be doing that at all. I remember when we played Wrexham and conceded again in the last minute of the game at the Gallagher from that set piece, and I said to those around me that I'm disgusted with that. I'm really disgusted with that. The fact that we can't just hold on for another minute or two. We got ourselves into this really, really prosperous position where everything was going our way. We looked fantastic. We were doing really well in a game, and we threw it all away. And people said to me after, well, it's Wrexham. You didn't expect to beat Wrexham in the first place. We were expecting a heavy defeat. And we lost by 1 goal in the last kick of the game, really. And I said, well, why is that acceptable? Why are we, given the position we're in, looking at the situation, the scenario we've got ourselves into, why is it acceptable, no matter who we're playing, that we throw things out the window all the time? And of course that then, what entails then is a bit back and forth between me and said person, and more often than not I have come out on top. But people do seem to see a bit of sense in what I'm saying with that. We get ourselves into these positions. It shouldn't matter who we're playing. Poor defending's poor defending. At the end of the day, cheap goals are cheap goals. Another thing I bring up a lot to people who I stand with in the Genco is, when was the last time we conceded a good goal? For me, it was the Eastleigh home fixture. That turn and volley from, God, I can't remember his name now. Something Hall or something White or something like that. White Hall might be for Eastleigh up front. That was, for me, the last good goal we conceded. The last goal where you go, fair enough, not really anything we could have done about that. All 3 goals today I thought were really poor defensively. And again, I don't want to criticise George because I'm a big fan of him as a person. Lovely guy, been really nice to me in the past. Same as the coaching team as well. Ryan Gordon's at Foster Crouch, really lovely people. But you kind of have to question where, we've got an ex-Premier League defender. We've got someone who has coached over, I think he said, just many, many hundreds of games during the week. Ryan Gordon put that statistic out, a landmark achievement for himself, and congratulations to him on that. But with all this experience, and we're still conceding these cheap goals week in, week out that really come down to a lack of communication, organisation, and maybe inexperience. That could, of course, be the problem. Something I mentioned in the week about this team, very young team that we've seen in the last few weeks. And, of course, that could be the reason why a lot of these goals are going in most of the time. But, that 3rd goal, I mean, we've got Yusuf Mersin, who's been sent to Welling on an emergency loan. We've lost Dan Barden, who, by the looks of it, isn't going to make a return anytime soon. And Harley, Earle, bless him, has, of course, had that really horrible injury. Fractured nose, eye socket, cheekbone, you name it, he smashed it up. Playing for, I believe, Sittingbourne out on loan. So, we're kind of stuck with Tom Hadler. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but really poor mistake today. Really poor mistake. He come and apologised at the end to the fans about that. And, fair play. But at the end of the day, it's going to sound harsh. I don't want it to, because although I'm not necessarily Tom's biggest fan, I don't like him for the reason other people like him, in that, yeah, he's our mate, Tom Hadler, he's one of the lads and all that. I'm not really that big on that. I want to see someone performing really well every week, and we haven't really seen that from him this season. Boreham Wood game away really springs to mind. The performance he put in that, for me, wasn't really good enough. I think given more time, he could be good enough, but I think today we saw a bit of rust was probably the reason why he made that mistake. I thought for the rest of the game he was quite good. To be fair, I thought he was really good for the rest of the game, but his distribution was good, all the rest of it. But that one mistake, unfortunately, did cost us in the end, and that's what's going to be talked about. And of course, that's what I'm talking about. But yeah, no disrespect to Tom. Mistakes are mistakes. He apologised for it, but again, it's one of those things that how many times are we going to be able to have players apologise for mistakes, because they happen quite consistently in this Maidstone team. It is a shame. Like I say, I want to see the management team in some aspect, whether it's in the KM, whether it's in a Friday interview, or even if anybody feels like reaching out to me, if you're watching, I'm more than happy to have somebody on the channel to have a little chat. But yeah, I'd like to just see something addressed regarding, the situation at the club right now. Like I say, no one's expecting to beat Bromley, but we got ourselves into the position we were in, and gave away some sloppy goals through some poor defending at times in this game as well. So, it is what it is. Basically just me venting my frustration, my disappointment more than anything, really, more than frustration, and just hoping that, of course, we can build on the positives that we have seen from today. I thought Josh Shonny Barre, love him, beautiful player. We do fantastically well to keep him for next season. Sol Wangel Smith again, running the line, great presser of the ball, got unlucky a couple times. The service into him wasn't always amazing, but did really well with what he had going for him today. And Rafe Brown, salute to Rafe Brown. I mean, I think Rafe Brown just kind of reenacted that Roy Keane moment, where Roy Keane's on Sky Sports and he says, sometimes I just want to smash into a player just to make me feel better. And I think Rafe Brown did that, really. I think he could have caught the player who was through one-on-one, but instead, I think he just acted out what was in everybody's mind. It was certainly in mine. Just clean him out. Just take one for the team. The game's gone at this stage. They've got 10 men. What's 10 men for us going to do? Just take him out. And he did. And my respect to him for that. I always respect someone for taking one for the team, no matter the situation we're in. So, besides from that, not too much to write home about. I thought Kevin Burke had a pretty decent game as well. Like I say, George Fowler, unfortunately, not really living up to my expectations of him. I've got a very high bar set for someone of George Fowler's quality, and unfortunately I don't really think he met that today, which is a bit of a shame. Sam Bone got himself a goal. Not too bad a performance, but again, you kind of have to look at the sloppy defending and who's in the middle for some of those balls in. Those cheap balls were given away as well. The kind of, rather than put a tackle in, we kind of just swing and hoof and hope for the best. And it quite often, more often than not, to be fair, will bounce off the player, the opposing player, and ping in behind, which sets them off. And we saw that too often. Apologies, my brother's playing some sort of Britney Spears in the shower or something. Apologise for that if you can hear it. Not too pleasant, but yeah, like I say, not too much to write home about. Dom Olasanya as well, great game. But yeah, I think that's where I'm going to wrap things up, really. Just want to, like I say, air a few disappointments, a few grievances I've got with the last few results that we've had. Touch on a few of the positives as well, but mainly try and chase up some of those answers I think us as Maidstone fans are so desperately after at this moment in time. But as I say, we go on, we move on, we continue. Our journey to the National South must go on. Like I say, next week may be the week where we are officially confirmed relegated, but we'll have to wait and see. So, like I say, thank you all for tuning in, staying this far. If you've made it this far, do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. There'll be plenty more videos just like this one, if not a little bit more cheerful, in the future to come. And do like this video if you did enjoy it, of course. Leave a comment on your thoughts on Maistone's situation, maybe why you think we're letting these late goals slip. And hopefully I'll be able to catch you all in the next one. See you later, guys.